Yeah, I knew this was going to happen. I just don't understand the procedure of it. And why did any of you say this? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we put in 2 years on this. And it's still going, and we're back. And I still, if they don't get that little site clearance, like they can't even.
All right, so
I don't even understand.
Yes, mics are on.
check 1, 2.
Yeah,
All right.
I will say some of them I don't get.
Everyone ready?
Yep.
Francine, you ready? You ready? Okay.
Hello?
I'd like to call this zoning board meeting for June 24, 2026 to order, please. Francine?
I hereby announce pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act that adequate notice of this meeting has been transmitted on January 14th, 2026 by the Board Administrative Officer to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, the Township Clerk, and has been posted in the meeting room and the entrance hall in Town Hall, all pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you, Francine. Irina, could we please do roll call?
Mr. Burkle,
Present.
Ms. Campus,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Present.
Mr. Luciani, Mr. Marzocco is absent, Mr. Giampolo,
Here.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos,
Here.
Ms. Costello, here, Mr. Arnon. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Francine. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence to honor the military, police, first responders, and our troops serving overseas? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Irina, I don't believe we have any resolutions to approve.
That's
Is that
correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So then we'll move on to the minutes. I believe we have a number of meetings old meetings from 2023. If you want to start with November 1st and let us know who's eligible to vote, and then we'll have some motions on those.
Eligible to vote, Mr. Burkle, Mr. Giampolo, Mr. Orfanitopoulos, Mr. Luciani, and Ms. Campus.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the November 1st, 2023 minutes?
I motion to accept the minutes from November 1st, 2023.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Burkle,
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo,
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
Ms. Campus.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the September 20th, 2023 minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Giampolo,
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
Ms. Campus,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mr. Burkle.
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve the September 6th, 2023 minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Giampolo,
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
Ms. Campus,
Yes.
and Ms. Gerhart.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the July 19th, 2023 minutes, please?
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Mr. Giampolo,
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
Ms. Campus,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
and Ms. Burkle.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Burkle.
Following this order here, we're going to go with May 20th, June 7th, 2023 minutes, please. Got a
Make a motion
approve
to
those.
accept.
Thank you.
And second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Campus,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo,
Yes.
and Ms. Burkle.
Yes.
Mr. Burkle.
And can I have a motion for the March 15th, 2023 minutes?
Motion to
Motion.
accept.
And second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Campus,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo,
Yes.
and Mr. Burkle.
Yes. Can I have a motion for the March 1st, 2023 minutes?
Almost for the March 1st, 2023 minutes.
I'll second it.
Yes. Ms. Campus,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos?
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo?
Yes.
And Mr. Burkle?
Yes. And finally, can I have a motion to approve the May 20th, 2026 meeting? Was there, actually, before I ask for that, were there any edits or corrections or questions or comments on the May 20th, 2026 meeting? That's-
Nope.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Motion, okay.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos?
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo?
Yes.
Ms. Campus?
Yes.
Mr. Arnon? And Mr. Burkle?
Yes.
So for the record, November 1st, September 20th, September 6th, July 19th, March 15th, March 1st, 2023 minutes were successfully approved.
And just add June, for the record, June 7th.
June 7th,
2023, yeah.
apologize, and May 20th, 2026 as well.
And
Thank
we
you.
are finally caught up on minutes.
We're finally caught up.
Okay, great.
Congratulations.
She said that last time.
All right. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss some legal matters first, before we get into public hearing?
I move to go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna close down the microphone and the video here, and we are gonna go into a room upstairs for about, how long do you think, Marty? 15 minutes for the public. So grab some water, stretch your legs, walk around the building. We'll be back in public session in 15 minutes.
So for the record, 7:07, our board will be going into executive session. Thank you. Okay, for the record, 7:41, board is back from executive session.
No, we're waiting for John, so, John?
And Angela's coming in. She just went to grab her phone.
Oh, okay. Like, I guess we'll wait a couple minutes.
Okay, are we live? Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We're going to reopen the zoning board meeting of June 24, 2026 to public session. Are we good here? So, Mr. Alfieri, do you want to give us a recap of where we
Marty,
stand?
I'm sorry, do we need a motion to come back? Yeah, we need a motion to
Okay.
come back to our.
Can I have a motion to open the hearing to
I
public?
make a motion to go back into open session.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Irina.
You need for me to read the public hearing?
Yes, okay, so, yes, Francine, please read the application
Okay.
before us.
Okay, Zoning Board of Adjustment 2024-5, St. Mina Coptic Orthodox Church, 134 State Highway 34, Block 17, Lot 12, R40B Zone, preliminary and final major site plan, bulk C variances, D1 use variance. Applicant seeks preliminary and final site plan approval to construct a recreational facility. The recreational facility is not permitted use in the zone and requires a D1 use variance. The new facility will support the existing church by providing parishioners with a multi-purpose gymnasium, meeting spaces, and classrooms. The existing sports field will be upgraded and enlarged.
Thank you, Francine. Mr. Alfieri, do you
Yes.
want to begin to give us a recap of where we are right now and what we're about to hear tonight? Kind of a,
Yes, I will. And then counsel's here for the objectors, so we should get his appearance on the record. But Salvatore Alfieri for the record, Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, and Jacobs on behalf of the applicant. Okay.
Marty, do you want him?
No, let's sit silent. Or you want to give your appearance?
Yeah,
first?
let him in.
David Trombitter of the Herald Law Firm, here for Rob Simon. Thank you. David, what's your, just spell your last name? Oh, T as in Thomas.
It's not on, the mic is not on, hold on.
Yeah.
All right, okay, better?
So why don't you start over? Just introduce yourself again.
David Trombitter from the Herald Law Firm, here on behalf of the objectors.
Just have to speak up.
Okay, better? Okay. The last name is spelled T-R-O-M-B-A-D-O-R-E, Trombitter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to first thank Mr. Simon's office and the neighbors. We've met with them and we've been back and forth with plan revisions, and I'm happy to report that we've reached a settlement. I've given your attorney or chairman a copy of the settlement agreement. It's not signed yet, but we want to, I spoke to Mr. Simon before tonight's meeting. We'd like to introduce that as J1, a joint exhibit. We will supplement that with the fully executed one, but it does contain all of the terms that we've agreed to except for one, which I'll put on the record momentarily. The sum and substance of it is that we've eliminated the artificial turf and the lights for the field. We've agreed that be no amplification or anything at the field, so it'll just be a grass open area for the kids to play. We've redesigned the building, shifted the building. Our architect and our engineer will come up momentarily and explain to you the changes that we've made on the plans that have been supplied to the objectors and which would be incorporated into the settlement. We've agreed to supplement the landscaping. We've agreed that the perimeter landscaping would be installed before we begin construction to buffer the neighbors during construction. Today, the neighbors asked us if we would agree to install a 6-foot black vinyl coated fence along the property boundaries on the homes adjacent to White Cedar Lane. That's not in the agreement, but
Okay.
we did agree to that, so that, for the record, and that'll be in the final agreement that will come to you. And then a few other items that we've stipulated to, all to address concerns that the neighbors have expressed to us in our meetings and during our discussions. We also agreed to a deed restriction that would be filed against our property, and it would preclude us from ever getting access to White Cedar Lane, so we could never cut a road and use that road. We agreed that there'll be no temporary housing or K through 12 middle or high school activity within this building, this recreation building. These would be deed restrictions. We could, we can't rent it out, which we've stipulated to during testimony. It can't be rented out to third parties or other companies or the organizations. Would have to all be St. Mina related activities. And that would be in a deed restriction, which we cannot modify unless we get the neighbor's consent and the board's consent. So that's something that would run with the land forever. We agreed to some lighting details, et cetera, but I just wanted to summarize. So that's where we are. We hope that with this agreement and with the testimony we're presenting tonight, we can get the board's support for the application. Like I said, we're going to have our architect briefly describe the plan changes, our engineer briefly describe the plan changes. Our traffic engineer did not testify, but his testimony would be very brief because it's a state highway and we already have what we need from the state. And then our planner, because we do have D variance relief, we do need to put on the record the justification for that variance relief. That's where we are up to today. Council, do you have anything to add?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that is a pretty fair summary of where we are. I would only ask that the agreement that he's providing be included as part of the application. Obviously, it's just a placeholder until we can get the signed copy. I think it would be wise, tell me if I'm wrong, to read the names of my clients into the record with their addresses so we know who they are.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Do you have a list also? Or when you're done, maybe you can provide that?
Yeah.
You know what, I can
And I just speak as closely to the microphone as possible, as loudly as possible.
all right. I'm gonna give you this as
Great.
soon as I'm done.
Okay.
You can mark it any way you want, I suppose. So the husbands here are spoken for by their wives. So first we have Patricia and Joseph Bradley. Patricia's here. They are at White Cedar Drive in Holmdel. Everybody's in Holmdel. The next is Eileen Gendis. Her husband Henry has passed. She is not here, but she's conferred with those who are here. She's in accord with this agreement. Next is Joan Mitchell. She's here, 24 Tiburon Drive. Now let me go back to Gendis at 7 White Cedar Drive. So Joan Mitchell is at 24 Tiburon Drive. She's in accord. Next is April and John Radkowski. They are not here, but they have conferred with those who are, and they're also in accord. Next is Miriam and Scott Friedman. Miriam Friedman is here. Next is Marie and Gregory Hostal. Marie is here. And next is... Sorry?
Not saying the addresses.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me back up to, how far did I get? To Radkowski, I don't think I mentioned that one. It's 11 White Cedar Drive. Friedman is 26 Tiburon Drive. Next is Marie and Gregory Hostel. That's at 28 Tiburon Drive. And again, they agree. Next is Pauline and Keith, Pauline Raven. That's at 22 Tiburon Drive. She's not here, but again, she's conferred with those who are. And last is Luisa Visconti Daly. She's at 20 Tiburon Drive. She also consents. So that's all of them, and yes, we are in accord with everything that Mr. Alfieri said.
All right.
All right, let me just...
So I'm not sure what exhibit it is, but we'll mark this as exhibit
O2.
O2 for now.
So there's 8 neighbors here.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that.
And
Question.
yeah, go ahead.
The plans that we got here don't have this on these agreements on these plans, correct?
The deed restriction. Is that what you're referring to?
No, all the thing, the fences, the lights changed, all that, is that
Yeah,
on this plan?
everything but the fence. Because
Is
the
on
fence
this
came
plan?
up to today. The fence came up today for the first time, but yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. I thought I saw the lights on the plan, maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, you do the lights, right?
So I'll talk about it. Just so the lights
All right, so, Mr. Alfieri, who are we going to hear from first?
Mr. Collins, our architect.
Okay. Go
Hi,
ahead, Mr.
David Collins, Phelps Collins Architecture.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Collins, you've been sworn in already. You're still under oath.
Yes, thank you.
And for the record, our professionals have been sworn in and they're still under oath.
Okay, so this is part of the original exhibit A3. It's been revised. It's the floor plan elevation set. And what I'm showing here in green is the original footprint of the building, and in gray is the new footprint of the building. What we've done is we've moved the building to the south, or plan right towards the existing parking lot. We push it as close as we can to create more space to our neighbors. And we also reduce the plan as well. By pushing this building to the south, it also impacted the soccer field, and that's become much smaller than what we originally presented. So this this green portion that you see now was previously building and now will be grass or landscaping. So the biggest change in terms of the floor plan is in the gym. The gym now is set up as a single basketball court. They can practice perpendicular to the basketball court, but it's really only can fit one full basketball court in it. And we also reduced some of the bathrooms and consolidated some of the bathrooms in that area. I can zoom in a little bit, and reduced the size of the stage. We've also moved the loading dock and the loading door that was on the west side of the building facing our neighbors. We've pushed that up to the south side and created a little bit of a buffer so that area isn't directly visible from the south. And the area that we had the sidewalk and the ability to cart materials in at grade, we've modified the plaza slightly so that a boxcar could back up to the plaza and we could wheel right in the front door if we have to bring anything in by dollies. The loading dock door is at dock height, or in this case stage height, so it's not at the general finished floor. So that's why we kind of push that up. The sign has changed a little bit in height.
Yeah, and can you just, we still have building mounted signage that we're proposing. Can you summarize what that signing? Could you summarize the building mounted signage?
Sure. So generally the design of the building mounted signage hasn't changed. Because of the reduction in the height of the gym and the way we had to reposition the plaza relative to the stage area, the numbers have changed in terms of size a little bit, but it's generally the same signs that we were proposing before. And also on these elevations, one of the big moves we made is we were able to lower the ceiling height of the gym building by 6 feet. And so when you look at the drawing on the screen, you see the dotted line of where the building used to be and how much lower and how much smaller we've been able to make that gym. So you can see this is on the north side. You can see that same line on the east side, on the south side, and probably most importantly, you can see it, or most effectively, you can see it on the west, how much bigger and how much longer this gym used to come all the way out to this point here, and now it's pulled all the way back to this point here. So a pretty substantial reduction in the size and the height. When it comes to building mounted lights, we did our best to remove every light on the west and north side that we could. We're really only down to the emergency lights that are required at the exit doors. We specified a full cutoff light. The light shines directly down just to light the area at the door so people can safely egress in an emergency. And those will be mounted, the bottom of those will be mounted at 10 feet, so they won't be really high on the building. They'll be low and pointing right down at the ground. The civil engineer has a picture and has said if you need to see the picture, but it's a very directed light.
And just one question to your testimony. There is still a soccer field. It's no longer a turf soccer field. It's a grass soccer field.
It's a grass soccer field, and it's much smaller than it was before.
Okay, thank you.
And two follow-up points. One is that the light summary that Mr. Collins just gave is one of the conditions within the settlement agreement. He just stated it on the record. And not only, we also agreed as it relates to the field that it'll be grass, no lights, no amplification, no sound of any kind, just a grass field.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was an error in my report. I forgot to take out big error. Apologies. That the 50-foot pole mounted lights are no longer proposed.
Okay.
Only the multi-head LED lights and the building lights as testified to. Those are still shown on the plans, but everything that is testified to and is on that they have mentioned so far is correct. My report is wrong. That is the lighting section on page 5. That would be the first sentence of the second paragraph.
Okay. And Mr. Whiteo, also, is there any comments on the testimony you just heard, the changes?
No comments at this point.
Okay. Kate, was there anything else that you wanted to add to this testimony?
Just, and I'm not sure, one question about, you mentioned the signs. The signs get a little higher. They might have, I think it might have maybe been measured wrong in a prior application, because I couldn't really tell.
I think what happened was when we changed the architecture in this zone right here, where they used to be on
Got
the
it.
lower piece that is the stage, they had to move up to the higher piece, and architecturally, I think this looks appropriate.
Agreed.
So that's the change in height.
Okay, yeah, and so we did record that, so just because it is a variance, but I agree that I think it looks appropriate now, so it's not facing, it's only facing the front, so.
Okay.
And that's also, just that area, it's kind of like on a different plane than the front of the building, right? It's a little set back.
Right, so this portion is from 34 is the furthest portion of the building away from 34. It's also set down behind the soccer field. There's changes in grade there down to that plaza level, so it's kind of tucked towards the back.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Mr. Alfieri, are we done with this testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And who is the next person?
We've got questions.
Oh, from the board? Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask a couple of EMS questions. Is the elevator that's in there set, is it?
The microphone.
Sorry, I had it on before. I'm going to ask questions about EMS.
Yeah.
The elevator that's in the building, will it fit a stretcher? Do you know the measurements?
Yes, it will. We'll make sure it's stretcher compatible, yes.
Okay, so not a little miniaturized one.
No.
Okay, I want to be sure of that. And then, is there any steps at all going into the building from the entrance that we would be entering?
No.
No steps at all?
No steps. The gym is lower on the ground floor. The gym is lowered, but there are ramps down into that gym, so the building's fully accessible.
Okay. What about the soccer field? Is there any way, because I know there's some walls and change in elevation, how do we get up there if somebody's injured on the field?
I think that Josh would be better to answer those site questions
The
as a civil
grading?
engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something on the parking lot side so we can get right up there if we pull up.
Yep, I understand.
Okay, and then I don't think there's any access to go around any of the back, driving an ambulance back there at
No.
all.
No, there's not.
Because we do sometimes ask for numbered doors to help us. If somebody has an emergency, they tell us go to door number 3, and we go up there and save time. Because it's a big building, and rather than going through the whole building, like, can we access the gym from the loading dock, for example, back there?
So you could access the gym across here to this door from this parking lot, but this stage is higher than the rest of the gym, so you would have to come this way into the gym from the parking lot.
And what about on the other side of the building?
The plaza side or up high?
The other higher up, go up.
Yeah, so higher up there is because this site is sloping up towards 34, the building is actually built partially into the ground on this ground floor. So these stairs that you see on the end are down from
Okay.
grade down to that level.
So it looks like access is going to be from the main door for the whole building.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. That's all
Any,
I have.
okay. Any other questions from the board? Francine?
Moved it higher because you moved it architecturally. Have you made the sign bigger?
No, I believe the sign is the same size it was. Yeah, it's the same size sign. What's happened is because we kind of squished everything, the lower portion of the building that we had the sign on before became so small we couldn't fit it. So we had to kind of move it over. Because we moved it over, it would look really strange if it was halfway up the wall. So we put it in an architecturally appropriate location on that wall.
This might sound like but why do you need a sign on the center? If this is being used by people of the parish, don't they know that that's the center? I'm concerned. I know you're doing a lot of accommodations for the neighbors, but there is the rest of Homedale that I'm concerned about passing on 34.
You can't see it from 34.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's very
Okay.
hard to see because it's very far back on the building.
Okay.
Really, our initial reason for doing this was to make sure, because there are multiple buildings on the site, we didn't want any delay in any kind of emergency. Everyone
Okay.
knew to go to that center, and that was helping people on site direct towards that.
Okay,
And so
thank
they
you.
know it's the center and not the church.
That's right.
And also, these are not, this is kind of like halo, external, like from, not external, but back illuminated. It's not channel, it's not traditional channel
That's right.
letters.
So the lettering will be a dark color, a bronze color, and the back of it against the wall will be open. The light will wash behind the wall so that you see the letters in silhouette. We're not trying to project out a
That's what
bright
I'm
sign.
concerned about.
Yep.
Thank you, Francine. Any other questions from the board? Go ahead, Angela, you want to take the microphone?
Thank you. So first question I have is, I think in prior testimony we discussed the windows. They were going to have like a frosting glass on it. Can you discuss where the windows are now located and if they're still going to have that frosting?
Yeah, so the windows on the north side and the west side, we agreed that we would obscure those windows with frosting film. If there was any line of sight after all the landscaping was done, if there was any line of sight to the residential neighborhood, really just thinking about the second floor mostly, but that we'd be happy to obscure those windows if that situation exists. We really don't think it exists, but if it does, we will absolutely obscure those windows so that you can't see through them. And we also are willing to put tinting film on the windows to darken the windows if we have to, if there is a light issue, or we could handle it with motorized curtains. So we asked in previous testimony if that could be a condition of a CO as opposed to a condition of resolution compliance, because we believe that the problem won't exist, and we don't want to downgrade the building needlessly if we don't need to.
Okay. I think the only thought process I would have there is that, at the time of CO, maybe it's not an issue, but landscaping, in future may present an issue. So that would be my only concern there. And then other questions. So updates on the field. Is there field seating there, or is that?
No, we have no seating
No
there.
seating on the
Just
field?
a grass field, no lights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. And then, I had a question on this, the lighting for the sign, but I think you already addressed that. You mentioned that there was a deed restriction. You mentioned something about K through 12 classes. Can you just clarify what that was? I missed that.
Yeah, so it can't be used as a K through 12 school. It's just religious school
Okay.
classes, that's it. But it's not it won't be a private school of any kind.
And Sal, that means that without this deed restriction, you could come before this board in the future and ask for that. And
Right.
now they are not allowed to ask for that unless they can't even come back to this board for that unless the neighbors agree to
Correct.
rescind it.
So are you talking about like a charter school?
Well, it can't be any kind of,
Because religious schools have grades.
yeah, but they're not, so this specifically says K through 12, elementary, middle, or high school. So that's what it can't be.
So that's like a
Educational.
charter school type of thing.
Yeah, or
No,
it could be a Catholic
it would be any
school,
school, Dimitri. I
It
don't
can't
know
be a
what-
school.
Well, because religious schools have different grades, so
Yeah, but
that's
they're
why I'm
not,
confused.
but they're not a K through 12 elementary school. They're religious classes. They're not classes.
I just
that
don't
are-
want to put wording in there that covers the wrong thing. That's why I'm
Understood,
bringing
but
this
yeah,
up.
that's
And,
the intent.
and just to be clear, Kate, just to reinforce this, they could not come before the board for relief without the neighbors currently signing this agreement here. Is there-
Yes.
They can't come to the board without the neighbors agreeing to any kind of relief.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
correct.
They would not be authorized to proceed before the board.
Thank you, thank you. Any more questions from the board?
Yes. I'd like to hear you address, what I'm looking at is the... Thought it was on. How about now? I don't think it's working.
No, you don't press it, don't press it. It's red, don't press it, just talking to it.
Oh,
Okay.
right already.
How about now? There we go. I'd like for you to address, please, what I'm looking at, which is the Zoning Planning Board Interdepartmental Review Form. Date March 7th, response due date March 14th. Specifically, comments from the reviewing official David Olson, fire official. Specifically where it says comments, provide updated vehicle circulation plan utilizing the turning radius template for the largest fire apparatus utilized by Homedale Township. Then also says provide projected location on the building for the fire department connection to the building fire sprinkler system.
So I can talk about the FDC. We will absolutely put the FDC. We'll work with the fire department for a Knox box if they want a Knox box. We will work with them on the location that they want. That's not an issue. When it comes to the truck turning radiuses, Josh, the civil engineer, can address that when he gets up.
Yeah, John, I would also note that that dates back a couple of years, about a year and a half. It's from the original submission or one of the second submissions.
2025.
So I'm not sure, I can't remember if Josh has provided that or not, but the engineer will testify to the truck
Okay.
turning.
Is that a special condition that you're gonna work with the fire department?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, any more questions from the board? If not, Mr. Alfieri, before we hear your next witness, I'm going to open up to the public for any kind of questions that they may have. So if there's anyone in the public who has a question, please raise your hand, and if okay, not represented by your attorney. What was that? Okay, so more the attorney left. Are we confirming the attorney left for good for the evening? Okay. Is there anyone here not represented by the attorney who would like to ask a question to the witness that just provided testimony? If not, I'm going to close public comment and question right now. And we're going to, Mr. Alfieri, you're going to present your we'll introduce your next witness.
Yes. Our next witness is Josh Seawald. He's our civil engineer. He's also been sworn in and qualified previously.
Thank you.
And Josh, I'm going to ask you the same thing to summarize for the board exactly what was changed since the last plan that we showed them at the last hearing.
So I have two exhibits. Good evening again, everybody. Josh Seawald from Dynamic Engineering. This is the prior site plan rendering that we presented the last time we were here in front of the board. And what I'm going to be doing is flipping back and forth so that you can see the differences.
So then we'll mark the second one then.
Correct. Site plan rendering prepared by my firm, dated today's date. It is the site plan overlaid onto the landscape plan and the aerial map. Same exact orientation as the prior exhibit presented.
What are we up to now?
What exhibit number, Irene?
This is going to be A7.
Thank you.
So, we met with the neighbors, worked with the architect and everybody and all the professionals. I'm just going to run through a few numbers. We reduced the building footprint from 50,000 square feet and change down to 40,770. That's an 18% reduction in the actual footprint. And when I toggle back and forth between the prior site plan rendering and the current one, A7, that's now on the screen, you'll see that the actual orange block of the building has been substantially reduced. Again, they reduced the building gross floor area, so between the mezzanine and the second floor area, the 63,000 square feet and change down to 54,000 square feet. So another 15% reduction in total FAR. We reduced lot coverage, aka the total development coverage between building and some other ancillary impervious coverage areas, from 23.6% down to 19.8%. Another item that was important from the neighbors, and we think it looks well on the site plan, is that we increased the building setbacks from all the property lines. The minimum side property line went from 115 feet to now 131 feet. Again, that's minimum based on the unique shape of the building and the acute angle of the building to the property line to the north. The gym from the side of the property line that was previously there went from 100 feet to 185 feet. So another 85-foot increase from where the gym was set back, and that's due to David working with the neighbors to shrink the actual gym size in the structure. And finally, the minimum rear property line, and that's located to the west, is going from 154 feet to 214 feet. So overall, a lot of numbers and percentages, but substantially reduced the size of the building, increased the setbacks to all of our neighboring property lines that we share with them, and the building, although is in a similar location, all improvements from the overall size and setbacks. So we slightly reduced the parking count from 539 spaces to 529 spaces. Why the slight reduction? As David mentioned in his direct testimony, we are taking a lot of the development area that was located to the west, that was our prior loading area, that you see here on the prior exhibit, A7, that goes away. And now we're moving some of those facilities up front along the southern facade wall, and a couple of those spaces that are now striped out for those trucks and facilities to enter into the building. We are also exceeding the township minimum already, so we don't need a variance for that slight reduction in parking. So it was a good relocation of an accessory structure and moving it up front, internal into the site. We reduced the loading spaces from 4 down to 3 due to the reduced building gross floor area. We don't need that extra 4th loading space for our trucks. Only 2 spaces are still provided. That is one of the variances that you'll hear John talk about and you'll see in Kate's letter. But I think you've heard through a lot of testimony over the last couple of years that they don't need a ton of loading spaces. They're based on their floor plan and a lot of the operations, they're good with the ones that are proposed on the facility. Lastly, and this goes to one of your board members' questions, because we're able to reduce the building and we were able to make the soccer field smaller, we actually eliminated a lot of the retaining walls associated with the prior soccer field. So before, where we had a 4-foot retaining wall around the entire soccer field, it has been eliminated. So we grade out right from the parking lot up into the soccer field, so you don't have to worry, sir, about having a separate accessible path for pedestrian life safety. And actually eliminated one of the variances by reducing and eliminating those retaining walls.
Is there any kind of sidewalk that goes there? Because I see green. Can you blow that up so I can see closely?
We have a sidewalk that connects the front parking area and that front structure, and we bring it down to connect to all the different building doors that we have on the side and allows you to enter into here. This is just a fence which will have gates that you can walk into the separate parking lot area.
So it's fenced completely around the soccer field?
We'll have that same net in the fence that'll be there.
So will there be an entrance, let's say, from the middle of the soccer field into the parking lot?
There'll be different break points that you can get in and out of it.
That's what I'm concerned about, for the ambulance, where we can pull up and be able to go in and out to get somebody.
If you're looking for a 5-foot wide sidewalk from those 2 pavement areas into that
Right in the middle of the soccer field.
Right there?
Yeah, right there would be a perfect access besides the one that is at the top. So if we have an emergency, it's easy to get in there right now.
Understood.
Not a big deal.
Okay, in terms of stormwater management, is there any change to the system that you described in earlier testimony?
We haven't resized the basin. When it went from turf to grass, it actually improves, and now there's a greater factor of safety located within the actual stormwater management facility. Go ahead. I was going to finish up with landscaping and lighting. Substantial amount of landscaping work and working with the neighbors, basically doubling the width of the buffer, shifting the septic field further away from the property line, and adding more landscaping on the west side of the building and blocking where some of that loading and the parking facilities are. So a substantial increase in landscaping, and I would say that one of the bigger modifications from the lighting plan from all the prior testimony, there are no longer those 50-foot stadium lights that you would have around the soccer field. They have been completely eliminated from the application.
And then you heard the question about the fire official and site circulation. Are you capable, or is that Nick's?
I think I'm capable for you.
That's probably not the right word.
You're okay, Sal. Yeah, we did an itemized response on June 3rd, earlier this month, where we provided the updated plans summarizing everything you've heard so far this evening, but then we also did an itemized response to all your professionals, including that inter-office memo with all the different professionals. In our plans is an updated fire circulation. I have not gotten their updated comments back, but there's no conflicts. It maneuvers through the site well. And you heard just a few moments ago from Mr. Collins that there's no issue with the FDC location. So I believe that we've satisfied their comments.
One more question. What about, show us on the map where the fence is, even though that's just agreed on today, where it's going to go.
Oh, the perimeter fence?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know you mentioned the street, but it would be nice to see.
I'm not sure if Josh even knows, but it's supposed to be on the property line, right?
Correct. So basically, that we have a shared property line, right? Our overall tract of land backs up to a handful of these residential houses, and then right on the other side of that property line is that 50-foot landscape conservation easement that's on their property. Right on our property line, before it starts into ours, we'll have that fence.
The whole property?
Around I believe, the development area of ours.
Just adjacent to the homes.
Correct.
The dark green area.
So
on
you're
the
saying
right.
come down that top and then turn that straight down?
That's it.
All the way to the end there, and then it's going to stop?
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Just
Okay.
want to make sure it's clear.
All right. Mrs. Keller and Mr. White, do you have any comments on the witness's testimony? Anything you'd like to share with us?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I do not. I think this was a good overview. Again, I apologize for my error with the lighting. I agree with Mr. Seawald's testimony that they have eliminated at least one variance, which also I neglected to remove from my letter. But they've eliminated the variance for the lighting poles in the front. They've eliminated the variance for the retaining walls, where they were proposing up to 4.5 feet, where only 4 is permitted, and they have substantially reduced the number of retaining walls when they reduced that, the size of the soccer field. I believe that's the only actual reduction. And then, of course, it was not a variance, but they have substantially reduced the overall impervious coverage on the site, which houses of worship are allowed more than in the underlying R40B. They're allowed up to 28%, but this applicant is staying below 20 now, which I think is almost 4% improvement.
And that was largely due to the soccer field being grass versus turf?
I think it's kind of everything.
Okay.
I'll leave that to Jai. I think, but I mean, they reduced the building by 10,000 square feet and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, that you know, if I'm going to take another look after we hear the rest of the testimony. The only thing I will note, and this is more for the board's consideration, and I'm not sure if the planner is testifying next. I'm not sure, or if it's going to be traffic, but you know, we noted from the beginning that this application may have D variance relief. You know, I think that, you know, we can talk about it before the planner, because I'm not quite sure if that, you know, there's been some changes to the application and what we've heard in testimony over the last, not months, but years, about whether that is still the case.
Okay.
So I just want to be sure that the board is clear on that.
Okay. Mr. White, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just a question for Mr. Siebel. There's about 6 outstanding comments I have. I want to make sure that you're able to address them as condition of approval.
We certainly will.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. The board, we'll just open up to the board questions. Gene?
I'm just wondering what variances we have left to
Let's wait until we're done with this witness, and then before they move on to either, I think, I'm not sure if you're going to put up traffic but okay, then after traffic testimony, we'll discuss that before the planner goes forward.
Angela, any questions? Nothing. Yeah. No, Dimitri? John? Francine? Yeah, go ahead, Francine, please.
Okay, on the soccer field, I know you reduced it, which is great. How about the front setback to Route 34? Is it the same as we saw originally? It is. So it's that close to 34.
Are you speaking about the soccer field or the building?
The soccer field.
Oh, so the soccer field is not as close to so the building is the same dimension to
Right.
Route 34.
Right.
The soccer field has been shifted away from Route 34.
Can you flip back and forth so Francine can see that? When you
Yep, let me zoom back
So
out.
it's
Yeah,
back
zoom.
a little bit now. They'll-
just, yeah, go slow. So, yeah.
So when I look
Francine,
at-
you see, there's a huge, oh, not huge, but there's a large
Yeah, look at the little
reduction. Yeah, at the top right
Wenzel
there.
Farms used to be a farmhouse.
That's the old one?
That's the old
That's
one,
the new one.
and now-
Okay. So the green, the dark green, is that that part of the soccer field, and the light green is the actual soccer field?
All the light green is just grass. With the actual lines that you see will be painted like a regular soccer field.
But the fence, the proposed fence is
Oh.
not at the edge of the pavement there.
That's
the
correct.
fence around the soccer field, it does not extend to the edge of pavement.
That's what I'm
Correct,
asking.
yes.
Yes. So
Can
that
you
you'll
zoom in on
have.
that? Just zoom in enough so Francine can see
Yeah,
that too.
it's a little hard
Just-
to see on here.
Yeah, keep zooming a little bit more. Yeah,
the-
just the side. Yeah, just to that.
Exactly.
Right,
So
perfect.
the proposed fence, so it's all just going to be grass. The proposed, it's World Cup time, so let's call it a pitch.
Okay.
The pitch is
Thank you, Kate.
going to be smaller there, and then there will be a fence that extends outside, obviously, so people can, stand on the sidelines, etc. But then, Josh, there's the area that previously, I think the whole field pretty much went to that top.
That's correct.
Right. So okay.
Okay,
that's a
so
big
there's
difference.
more just grass going from the soccer field to Route 34.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Sorry,
and
just one more question to confirm, because you have not touched those parking spaces in the front. So basically, that whole area that was soccer field is now grass.
That's correct.
And not all within. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, and that, the square by the red, that's the plaza? That's what that is? On the
That-
draw? Is that the
what is
plaza
that
to get to
term?
the building? The square that's, the color, that's light blue. There's a square light blue that looks like the same color as the road. Is that the plaza to
This
get
is
to the
plaza
building?
right here.
Which is?
Right there. Right above to the right and above to the orange, yeah, where he's circling.
Oh, yes, that's what I just wanted to clarify that. That's the plaza.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So I guess my concern always is also just Route 34 in passing there. Is there any chance to put some shrubbery on the other side of the fence so that people on Route 34 coming down don't see a fence with the soccer field?
We did incorporate some additional landscaping right along that front existing parking area with trees and shrubs to further enhance the landscaping along that area.
Yeah, because coming down Route 34, rather than seeing a fence with a soccer field, you would see, you know, maybe a berm with trees or something, which I don't know would affect the people playing soccer.
So
And actually,
Francine, they're proposing, and this was not part of the prior application, was it?
We did have some landscaping at the prior.
Okay, so they're proposing it along 34, which I
Correct.
think is actually even better.
yes, okay, very
So
good.
the only place you'll be able to see through is the driveway, which obviously you need for
Fine,
safety.
fine, very good,
I think it's a good point. Thank you.
very good, thank you.
Thank you, Francine. Lori, do you want to say anything? Okay. All right, if we're done with the board questions, yeah, I'm going to open up to the public. Questions only, no commentary yet. If there's anyone not represented by the attorney who left shortly, a little while ago, please raise your hand. Seeing that there's no one in the public, we're going to close public questions. And Mr. Alfieri?
Yes, we're going to now call our traffic engineer, who has not testified.
Swear you in. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Again, spell your name for the record.
Nicholas Verderese, Verderese.
And Nick, place your credentials on the record, please.
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering, Rutgers University in 1990. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, principal founder of Dynamic Traffic. I've appeared before this board a handful of times, most recently last year.
Thank you. Do we accept his qualifications as a board? Any comments, questions, concerns? Okay. For the record, we accept your qualifications.
Thank you. I'm going to take you quick through. So first thing we did, we went to the NJDOT to get a new access permit for this project. Essentially what that included was they reviewed the new analysis with the additional building on the site. No change to the driveway. The driveway already exists to the facility. And we received the permit. It was actually a quick turnaround, 6 months. So it was a rather simple application since there were no proposed changes in the DOT right away. So they've accepted our traffic analysis, and we did a separate traffic impact study for the board. What that incorporated was existing traffic counts along 34 and the driveway. We did a whole week's period along 34, as well as turning movements at the driveway, evening peak hour on a weekday, as well as late morning to early afternoon on Sunday, since that's the busiest day. And we utilize that, and then we surcharge on top of the existing volume, even though there's already been testimony that both uses aren't really going to be working at the same time. Conservatively, we've assumed they work on top of each other. And again, we've had a 15% reduction in building size. All of our analysis was with the larger square footage, so everything we presented is conservative in that nature. And we have very good levels of service. Again, a scale of A to F. C level of service are better at the driveway. The driveway is well designed, separate left and right turn lanes on Route 34, full 12-foot lanes as well as 10-foot shoulders. So good sight lines in that area as well. So we're confident that the traffic works well with the additional traffic from this facility. Additionally, we looked at circulation, parking on the property. As Josh mentioned before, we did have a reduction of 10 parking stalls from previous, so we're down to 529. That's still well in excess of your ordinance requirement of 406 parking stalls. So I'm confident that the parking works for this facility as designed. There were some questions as to drop-off for the religious classes. Currently, that occurs over at the
at the church proper building, which is only about 300 feet from the driveway. This new location of the front door is about 800 feet from the highway. So if there is any queuing at the entrance to the building, we've more than doubled, almost tripled the distance of vehicles able to queue. So if you've ever seen any issues with that queuing, that's going to go away because it's all going to happen well onto the property. And again, there's substantial parking in the immediate area of the front door for drop off and pickup or curbside pickup as well. That pretty much summarizes what I did in this application.
Okay, thank you for your testimony.
You're welcome.
Open up to our professionals right now. Ms. Keller, Mr. White, if you have any comments, questions about the testimony you just provided?
Nothing from me, thank you. Although I guess I just want to clarify, and Nick, you said a few times like we went back, we did this, or like, but you haven't presented any of this testimony to the board. So all of this is, the whole application.
It was Josh testified to a bunch of the stuff I just reiterated.
Okay,
yes.
got it. So yeah, you're not really hearing anything new or changes since prior testimony.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, they already successfully addressed all our concerns before.
Okay.
So we're good.
All right, thank you. So at this time, I'll open up to the board for questions. Gene, do you want to start?
Yeah, one question for you. Now, this facility will produce some additional traffic over what's there now?
Correct.
But it won't be the same time usually as the religious instruction.
Yeah, so some of the activities that happen in the church move to this facility, and then there are other things that happen in the new facility, but you're not going to have an event or some type of speaker at the new building while services are going on in late morning on Sunday. That's not going to overlap. So, but in our analysis, we just assumed they're both going to operate at the same time. So we were very conservative in our analysis. Yes.
So your analysis assumes 529 parking spots? Is that what you?
Correct.
Okay. And then, I guess, queuing also for picking up and passengers being dropped off?
Yes.
Okay. Angela? Okay. Dimitri?
I was just wondering, did anybody consider a deceleration or acceleration lanes?
There's a full shoulder there, so DOT didn't feel like it was needed. It essentially operates that way. That's why DOT has shoulders on the highway, so they were comfortable.
Figured I'd ask. Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
John, anything?
One second.
Take your time.
I believe I heard you say regarding the parking stalls, because I'm looking at the zoning planning board interdepartmental review form. This was back from March 2025, or one of the things that was asked was convert 2 parking stalls directly in front of the fire department connection to a fire zone to allow access for the fire department to utilize the fire department connection.
Yeah, that was done. And after that, we actually eliminated 7 more on this new plan.
Okay, so you did that first, then you eliminated
there were 2
more.
and then additional. Yeah.
For the record, could you just zoom in and kind of show us where that was occurred? Yeah, so this area here and this area down here. I keep getting that thing to show. So clearly, I don't see any parking spots there. Is that what you're showing us?
We've eliminated all the parking along the face of the front-facing part of the building, yes.
Okay.
As a condition of approval, the applicant will have to meet all the interdepartmental review conditions, I believe, so they haven't already.
We've stipulated that we'll meet the fire officials.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, yes.
So John, are you good with that?
I'm good.
Okay. Francine, any questions?
Okay, currently with the church just there, how many parking spaces do you have there?
I have it. It's written here somewhere. 548.
Okay, now are you proposing more, how many more spaces? So you're gonna stay with the same parking lot that seems to get very, very full right now when there's services, and you're adding a building and you're telling me there's not gonna be any trouble with parking?
Well, and all the operational testimony that we had over 2 hearings
Yeah.
would be a condition of approval. Nothing's changing, and the testimony was that nothing's happening in this building while services are going on.
Nobody's playing in the soccer field?
Well,
Nobody's?
the kids are, possibly, but they're not parking. The parents are probably in the church and the kids are there. It's not.
Okay, because
so-
I am concerned about that,
So, yeah,
you know, currently, it looks like it's pretty full there with just the church operating, and
So-
now we're adding another building and soccer fields, and we haven't added any allowances for parking.
So, there's only 2 or 3 days where the whole parking lot fills in the whole year. Then on your normal Sunday, you probably can't tell. So we looked at a few of the busier Sundays. 300 spaces were occupied. But what happens is they're the 300 spaces closest to Route 34, so you don't see the 250 of them that are in the back that are not occupied. So if you drove by, you'd be like, oh, the whole parking lot's full.
Right,
There's
right.
200 spaces closer to this use that are open during
Okay,
that.
so currently, you're not using the total parking allowances that are at the site right now.
Correct.
So there is some additional spaces that can be allowed for if, for some reason, there's something going on in both places.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Nick, what did you, I don't know if you said this on record, but what is the requirement under township ordinance and what is proposed?
406 with the new building size.
Yeah, so it's with you take, because the house of worship is based on the number of seats, and then the indoor recreation facility is 5 per 1,000, which, you know, is a pretty big number. So 406 is what's required. Combined, when the applicant previously came before this board, they admit, you know, the site was, you know, what some may call overparked back then. I think in anticipation of future, you know, construction or whatever, for whatever reason, that was all part of the prior proceeding. So the site for the last 10, 15 years has had many more parking spaces than what's required under township ordinance.
Yeah, the industry standard for the new building is 4 per 1,000. Your ordinance is actually 5, so it's more. So we're providing more than the industry would typically require.
Thank you, Francine. Lori?
So you don't anticipate, because I live kind of near that area, that there will be parking on 34 or on the front lawn? Because I've seen it, and it wasn't 10 years ago because I wasn't there. So it doesn't happen always or often, but that is my biggest concern, because we're reducing parking spaces. And I've, as recent as last year, saw the overflow parking literally abutting 34 where there's grass area, if you will. That was my concern.
So, no, I do not anticipate that to happen due to this new facility. If it was happening at the church on a high holy day,
I assume it was
then
a
it's
high holy
gonna
day. I can't answer
likely happen again on those same exact days. And I think there's police presence on those days as well.
At the time I was there, there wasn't, but I can't tell you like what time, you know, if I just hit it at a bad time. Again, I lived very close to there, so I was aware it was happening. And that is my only concern, because it's right on 34.
I
And
can't
people
say
I don't want people to get hurt walking because they can't find a parking spot and they're literally parking almost on 34.
It could have been a few lazy people that didn't want to walk to the back too. I have no idea, so.
Lori, I will say, and I think that the applicant's attorney would agree to this, is that, you know, something that we always have as a specific condition is that they have to comply with all rules and regulations and laws of the township that apply to this. And parking on the grass is not permitted. You know, I think that that's something that, you know, that's out of the jurisdiction of this board but that's an enforcement mechanism that were to happen, and you could, you know, and I think if it would become a problem, then that would be something where in other churches they have silo lots, they have, requirements, but I think at this point, that would become an enforcement issue.
And
you can help enforce it if it comes up.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, because I didn't handle the prior approval, but I don't know if Title 39 jurisdiction was conferred on the town, which would give the police the ability to issue tickets on private property. If it isn't in place, certainly as a condition of approval, we can provide that.
Marty, you'll check on that? Okay. Any other comments? Angela, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have one question. You mentioned that there has been police presence sometimes to help with the traffic. How often does that usually occur currently?
From my understanding, I think it's twice a year, but
Just a high holiday.
And how often is that? I'm
3
sorry.
days. I think it's Good Friday, Easter, Christmas.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Any other questions from the board? All right, seeing, Mr. Arnone? No, you're part of the board. Thank you, Mina. Seeing there are no more questions from the board, we're going to open up to the public for questions only. If there's anyone in here that's not represented by the attorney, please raise your hand. Seeing there are none, we're going to close the public portion of comments to right now. Mr. Alfieri, you have one more witness, I believe. You'd like
Right,
to
and I
introduce
think
him?
Kate may want to run through the variances before our planner testifies.
I think we're,
Yeah, that's what
Oh.
so I think, because I think you may, this is up to the board to ask so let me just go through this
Okay,
real quick.
sure.
Because you also may change the type of testimony you're looking for from the planner.
Okay.
So when this application came in, and I have to admit, I don't remember if this was how it was submitted or if it was a decision that we made, but the applicant, we thought the applicant may require D1 variance approval. This was previously a zoning board application for which D3 was required. That's why it still stays in the jurisdiction of this board either way. But when we first saw the proposed facility, the way it was described in the application, it was not clear to us whether this was, going to be kind of a standalone structure for use by the public, whether it was going to function as like what, just for like kind of an overall word, like something that used to kind of be called fellowship halls, like that kind of thing that kind of oversees all of like the community or this community aspect of a house of worship. So in our initial application, we did mention that we thought D-variance relief may be required, in our initial review, and we asked the applicant to put on testimony over the course of the hearing as to whether this was an accessory use to the house of worship use, whether it was its own separate use, in which case additional relief would have been required. I believe the applicant, through their operational testimony, has provided substantial operational testimony and has also indicated that they're going to deed restrict the property so that it will not be accessible to third-party renters and things of that nature. So just to go on from there, this is up to the board's determination as to whether you think it is a accessory to the house of worship use or whether it is a standalone structure. I will just note that in both New Jersey case law and in federal law, including the RLUIPA, Federal Religious and Institutionalized Persons Act, I'm not going to say leeway, but a lot of deference is given to houses of worship for what constitutes an accessory use. And I'm going to quote from our old friend, the Book of Development Definitions, which I just closed accidentally, but I think this is helpful. This is from this is from the definition for a house of worship in this book, which was written. I forget when the latest version was, but it's considered to be kind of a standard. So hold on, and it was written kind of with a New Jersey focus as well. So hold on, it's a large document. Okay. So hold on one second. Here we go. Okay. This place of worship, it provides a definition of church, synagogue, mosque, temple, other facility that is used for prayer by persons of similar beliefs, and a special purpose building that is architecturally designed for the primary use of conducting religious services. And then as a comment, it states that the accessory uses for a house of worship may include schools, meeting halls, recreational facilities, daycare, counseling, kitchens, etc. And that it goes on to indicate that from a zoning and planning perspective, often the accessory uses can be more impactful, but it does state, and it recommends having them as conditional uses, as house of worship, as we do in this ordinance. Then it goes on to quote some case law. This is pre-RLUIPA, but I think it's worthwhile. But and I can provide this. But essentially, this is a case from Connecticut. It's called Daughters of St. Paul versus Zoning Board of Appeals. And it essentially states that if a facility were comprised solely of a convent and a chapel, there would be no question as to whether that was a place of worship. But if the facility were composed solely of a book and audiovisual center, that would not be a place of worship. However, this is an application for a convent, chapel, and sort of an audiovisual center. It's a little outdated. It's from 1988. For where the use was, where religious expression, religious practice was going to be was going to go on. And so then this says, we conclude that under the facts of this case, the defendant could not reasonably conclude that the convent and chapel do not constitute a church or place of worship, and that the dominant use of the facility was other than for a church and place of worship. So I read all that to say that just because the accessory use is by itself not part of a house of worship, it doesn't mean that it's not of the house of worship. And I will go further to say that I think, in my opinion, this is also for the board to say, I think that this case is what we have here is even more clear cut, because this is going to be used exclusively by the church and exclusively to support church activities. So I say all this because I don't want the applicant's planner, who even though I've probably gone on longer than he would, to have to put on testimony for a D1 variance if the board does not think that is necessary. So I just want to leave that up to the board to decide. I don't know if you want to take like a straw poll or something now. I'm happy to answer any questions, or you can also wait until the board's planner puts on his testimony, however you want to proceed.
Yeah, I think, my opinion, I would like to hear the testimony from the planner. Does everyone agree? So, you're here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you.
I do. Hi.
Just state and spell your name, please.
My name is John Tykina. I'm a licensed planner, and there's... All right, Sal.
Move that microphone.
When you go last, you have to wake the crowd up.
You know what? Listen, you're the best speaker we've had.
and nobody's going to yell at me from the back of the room. I'm a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey. I have been encyclopedic my studies at Rutgers University in 1992. I've spent the last 33 years doing this, testifying before planning and zoning boards around the state and across the country on behalf of applicants just like this. I've appeared before more than 210 boards across the state. I have not appeared in Homedale before this board. I have appeared before the planning board and probably 40 of the Monmouth County's 53 municipalities. But it's nice to be here.
Okay.
My license is current and in good standing.
Thank you for that. Does the board have any questions about his qualifications, concerns? We accept your qualifications. Please provide your testimony.
Thank you so much. So I am here to talk about the application from my planning standpoint. I do agree with Ms. Keller that the proposed recreation facility is clearly an accessory use that is ancillary to the house of worship and supports its religious activities, including the recreation and education of their children and the fellowship of their members and education of their members. So it is clearly associated with and limited to the religious activities of this congregation and this congregation only. And I believe it is certainly under the purview of a house of worship without question, and D1 variance relief would not be necessary. We do require D3 relief in this instance. We require two different types of relief.
I'm not sure about that. Sorry, I didn't get into that, but I believe it's already been granted.
I concur unless you want to talk about signs.
I don't consider that to be part of the D3 relief. It refers only to the underlying zoning.
Well, why don't you provide, and then
We need C variance relief for signage. But I think that this is I don't believe my letter does not call for D3 relief.
I definitely want to hear from you, Kate, but why don't we let him provide his testimony fully, and then you can respond to that at the end.
The issue, I think, and Kate, and I'm sure John could work through it, is that you have conditional use standards for houses of worship. One of them is signage, And we think that potentially because we have sign variance relief for the facade signs, it may trigger that D3, but if it doesn't, we'll defer to your
Okay.
planner, but we'll put it on the record just in case.
Okay, I think this is the first time this is coming up. This is new to me, so I apologize. Okay.
Okay. I try to be not too conservative, but a little bit if I can. So it's always nice working with a dynamic team. They get all the facts on the record, so I'm not going to say things twice. I am going to talk about our two different types of relief. Our D3 relief, where again the standard is a Coventry standard of does the site remain appropriate for the use even though it doesn't meet all of the conditions that are required in the ordinance. And then we of course have our negative criteria. Do we have a negative impact on the public good, and do we have a substantial impairment of the zone plan and the master plan?
And that would be analyzed solely from the item that doesn't comply with the ordinance, not the entirety of the site, just what triggers the variance is the only thing that would you focus on that aspect, correct?
That is correct. So when I get to the aspect that we don't comply with, we will literally be talking about the sign.
Okay.
And in terms of our C variance relief, that is required. Again, the standard is it's a C2 variance where the benefits overall of the project outweigh any potential detriments, and we do look at all of the benefits of the project. And again, we have our negative criteria. I will only address our negative criteria once, so I'll make sure I say it all, but I'm only going to say it all once. So in terms of our, we are conditional use. So again, is a use that was envisioned to be in the zone. It was envisioned to be here. So the standard is then, can you meet these conditions that the governing body set forth in the adoption? And we kind of we'll run through them very quickly. So we have a minimum lot area of 4 acres, which we meet. Minimum frontage of 150 feet with a 50-foot front yard setback, 50-foot side yard setback, 50-foot rear yard setback, and a lot width of 150 feet. We all comply. All the minimum required lot and depth for the building height shall conform to the district. The maximum lot coverage, as Ms. Keller said, is higher for a house of worship than it is for a home at 28%. But with the reduction in the building, reduction in change in the field, reduction in parking, we have gotten it under 20% at 19.8%. We don't have any accessory structures, et cetera, in the front yard. That relief was previously granted in 2017 -02. We are not exacerbating that condition in any way, so that relief was previously granted. We have access from our Arturo roadway, Route 34. The driveways cross the sidewalks at right angles. The driveways are at least 10 feet from the side yard, and we don't have more than 2 driveways for each 150 feet of street frontage. Parking complies, 406 required. We are at 529 are provided. Our buffers were previously granted relief, again in 2017-2, with the changes and the additional setbacks that were provided along the north and west property lines. We comply with all the buffer requirements. The sign, again, item number 9 is the signs are regulated by section 30-96. That would be the limitation to 12 square feet and to not more than 15 foot high. So we are proposed, and one sign, we already have one sign. We have the freestanding sign at the driveway. So we're proposing 2 additional signs. We have the 12 square foot cross that is on the front of the building, or the Route 34 facing side of the building, on the middle, on the middle facade. And then we have a 61 square foot identification as St. Mina Center, which is on the furthest facade from Route 34, over 400 feet away from Route 34, and that is 61 square feet, and that is also 27.5 feet above grade. So it's the sign variance that I believe we require the conditional use relief from. It also requires all the underlying zoning requirements to be complied with, but we do, except where they're superseded, such as the coverage. And again, your ordinance reiterates that any relief under this is a D variance, a D3 variance. So again, the standard is under this is, do we comply because, do we remain appropriate as a house of worship and as an accessory use to the house of worship, even though we have 2 additional signs, one of which is a cross at a compliant size, and the second is the St. Mina Center that occupies less than 2% of that part of the facade, and is 27 feet in the air, because again, how the property slopes, it kind of falls away from Route 34 and falls away as you're on the property. It's actually, we needed to put it kind of towards the top of the wall to be architecturally appropriate, as Mr. Collins testified. So again, I believe that we meet that standard, that we remain appropriate as a house of worship and an accessory recreation facility, even though we have 2 signs on the building. That one is a cross and the second identifies what it is. In terms of other variance relief, we have our minimum number of loading spaces. Again, this would be an underlying condition. There are 3 required, and we have 2. Our operational testimony, as well as the testimony of Mr. Collins and Mr. Seawald, stated how we've first of all moved loading to our east side of our building, so that we're not facing our neighbors and close to our neighbors on White Cedar, and we split them so that we provide appropriate loading to the different levels of the building. We have loading into the stage area, and we have loading into the grade area at the plaza, so that we can get in again without having any issues, also facilitating the emergency access as has been appropriately requested. Again, previously our buffer areas have been granted. Fences and walls, we have eliminated our variances for our retaining walls. Our 4-foot fence that surrounds the field is appropriate. Our 6-foot fence that has been agreed to with our neighbors is also a compliant fence. It's on a side and a rear yard, so they are not an issue. The catching net at 20 feet is relief. That is relief that is required. C2 variance, we think it's a better plan if we're going to have a soccer and a play field. We think it's appropriate to keep the balls in the field so that we don't have any danger from people running out into a parking lot after a ball. And again, the fence itself is 225 feet away from Route 34 at its closest point. We are behind an additional landscape area, an enhanced landscape area that Mr. Seawald testified about. So again, I think we've done a nice job of mitigating that. And these meshes, et cetera, are getting more and more see-through by the day as the technology has improved. The baseball teams having to put the nets up in front of the fans actually really accelerated that process to get us more transparent netting that is just as strong as it needs to be, but you're able to see through it, which again reduces the overall impact of that field. And I don't have to belabor the fact that we went to a grass field, we eliminated the lighting, made the field significantly smaller than it was. Again, all to reduce any potential impacts. All of our parking areas remain as they are. That was a prior approval. Our lighting now complies. Our lighting intensity and the new lighting plan also complies. So any of our lighting variances have all been removed. Our lighting variances previously were due to the height and intensity of the field lighting, which has all gone away. So again, the standard for our use variances is Coventry. Do we remain appropriate? So I believe we remain appropriate, even though we have a sign and we have only 2 loading spaces instead of 3. The balance of that relief for our conditional use has already been granted in 2017, and the site has been operating very, very well since then. Again, we have the normal parking and access issues that occur on high holy days with all of our houses in worship, and thank God that we do. And again, I do believe that the parking that we see on Route 34 is lazy people that don't want to walk to the back. They're parking there because they're closer to the building, not because there isn't a space available in the back of the parking lot. And again, Mr. Verderisi testified about how he observed on those different days. In terms of our positive criteria, I'd submit to you there are 3. I'll go with 2 actually. To encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use and development of lands in the state, in a manner that promotes the public health, safety, and morals, and general welfare. Again, as an inherently beneficial use, we promote the general welfare, and we really meet our positive criteria. We're also providing sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of uses in accordance with their environmental requirements. Mr. Seawald testified about all of our environmental aspects that we're meeting on the site in terms of our stormwater management, our septic system, our enhanced landscaping, our compliant lighting. All of these things are being met in a way that is the highest in our environmental requirements. And again, we think we have a need to meet the needs of our congregation on the site with this facility, and we believe we're doing that. As we said, it is an inherently beneficial use. So again, by case law, we meet our positive criteria. In terms of the site remaining appropriate, again, we have direct frontage from 34. All of our residential lots are now sufficiently buffered and fenced and buffered and screened to the satisfaction of those residents. The site, and this really wasn't talked now. I also had the benefit of, I got to watch the prior 4 hearings all together. So it was actually kind of the best way to do it. But the thing that really wasn't talked about a lot was it's a 34-acre property. So we're not squeezing this thing in anywhere. And now we're certainly not squeezing it in with how we moved it away from the property lines, et cetera. I think we didn't want to disturb the parking, and I think we did a nice job of listening, both to the board and to the residents, and pulling it away. But it is a 34-acre property. It is certainly far larger than the 2.5 or 4 acres that's required by our ordinance, 13 times the size. We're fully compliant in terms of our setbacks. And again, you've heard the operational testimony as to the need. Finally, the board has the ability to impose reasonable conditions with any application that you grant. That ability, I'm sure the board's going to take, whether it's making sure that we comply with our fire department FDC, we have compliance with our settlement agreement, the deed restriction that the board talked about. We already had agreement on the plans to other requests from the board about field material, lighting, et cetera. So I think we've done a very nice job of reaching across and making sure that we're listening to everybody, and the board has the ability to provide for those reasonable conditions. In terms of our C variances, again, I think that there's 2 of them. One is a loading space. We only need 2. It's a better plan with 2 on than 3. As you saw from, as you've seen from the plan and the plan revisions, we started with a compliant loading area in terms of its size and everything else. But again, as we looked at operations, we looked at our surroundings, we reduced the size of the loading areas and then split them to kind of customize them to the building and the use. And we think that that is appropriate. We think it's a reasonable request, and it's a better plan with 2 appropriately sized, appropriately located loading facilities, as opposed to just 3 loading facilities tossed in the back that would be closer to our neighbors. We could comply. This is a better plan the way we proposed it. And then finally, our final relief is for the sign. And again, I think it's entirely appropriate to have a 12 square foot cross on the front of this building and to provide for the identification of the building. As I said, the identification that is provided is approximately 2% of the area of that of the area of that portion of the facade that is furthest from Route 34. And for example, and Ms. Keller's letter cites it, if it were a commercial building, it would be 10%. So we're at 2%. It's just lights. It's just letters on the one facade, or cross on the other facade. I think that's entirely appropriate for a house of worship. In terms of our negative criteria, there's no substantial detriment to public good. We're largely compliant with bulk regulations. The lot size is substantially larger than we need. The scale of the lot allows the internalization of all the impacts, and I think we've done that well. We've pulled the building further than required from the west and south part, the north and west property lines. We've internalized all the activity, all the access, all the parking, et cetera, is internal to the site, minimizing it to the greatest extent possible from our neighbors, and we provided for substantial landscaping and buffering to make sure that we're as minimal as we can on impacts on our neighbors. Mr. Verderisi testified about the appropriateness of the site from a traffic standpoint. We're on Route 34. We're not really, we still accommodate any increase, even though the operational testimony said the two aren't going to go together, but we put them together to be conservative, and we left it 15% larger, again, to be conservative. So Nick had his belt, his suspenders on, and was holding up his pants. We're very comfortable that the site will be accommodated in terms of traffic. And then finally, no substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan. Your 2020 Homedale Master Plan reexamination report and your land use goals talks about providing for future land uses and development at suitable locations and appropriate intensities with respect to existing land use patterns, the location and capacity of roads, and the limitation and sensitivities of natural resources. Additionally, we want to encourage high quality design for all development throughout the township. I think Mr. Collins' architecture and design here is of the highest quality. I think Dynamic did a great job at the landscaping and the layout of the property in terms of making sure we have appropriate buffers, and we have great design there. You also have park and recreation goals to provide for these recreation facilities and opportunities for active and passive recreation in the township. And you have community facility goals that provide community facilities and services that protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community and provide for high quality of life of Homedale residents, and provide community facilities at appropriate and convenient locations that best serve the residents and future residents of Homedale. And I think St. Mina's is doing that. There's no impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone ordinance from having 2 signs on the building instead of 1, and from having 2 loading docks instead of 3. And again, we're our conditional use. We believe we've met the conditions, either by previous approval, by how we've designed this current site, except for those 2 items for loading and signs, and we remain appropriate, even though we need that relief. So I believe I have now addressed all of the elements. You have the ability to determine that the site remains appropriate, even though we have that little diminution from the sign requirement and the loading dock requirement, that you have the ability to find that we've met the positive criteria by being an inherently beneficial use, and we have the ability to meet our negative criteria by all of the accommodations that we've done and listening we've done with the board and their neighbors in terms of lighting, landscaping, field material, field location, field size, etc. And I think for all those reasons, you have the ability to make the requisite findings and grant this an approval. I'm available for your questions.
Well, thank you for that very comprehensive testimony. I appreciate it, and I'm sure the board does as well. Ms. Keller, do you want to respond at this point to what you've just heard?
Sure. I mean, I'll take it. I'll just say that Mr. Dykina read the ordinance a little more stringently than I did. Can you just explain where the loading conditional use is coming from?
It would be one of the underlying requirements in the ordinance. I mean, and that's even a stretch because we're pulling the requirements for a recreation building out of another zone.
Yeah. So here's where I think this question is coming from. And I'm not. This gets a little very planning nerdy, but there's provisions in this conditional use ordinance say all zoning requirements in the underlying zone of the property, not specifically amended by this section, shall be applicable to this conditional use. I read that to be R40B. Then it says, when they're incorporating the requirements standards of the underlying zone to establish deviation would be under D. Again, I interpret that to be under the R40B zone. Mr. Takita is representing that would be basically the whole zoning ordinance, as long as it's referenced in here. My opinion is that the signage, I think you need. The signage, I agree with. I do not think the intention of this ordinance was that it's a conditional use, because basically this would be saying that you need a D variance for any C variance from the entire ordinance, and that's not the intention. Signage I will take, because that is number 9 under here. Signs are regulated per section 30-96. That one, we'll accept, but I am of the opinion that you need a C. I believe it's a C variance for loading, not a D.
I'll agree.
Okay. Mr. White, do you have any comments on anything you heard?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so now I'm going to open up to the board for any questions, comments. Gene, do you want to go first?
The only thing is that I'd like that we enumerate exactly what the variances are that we have to be voting on.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have two votes. We're gonna have one on a D1 relief vote, whether or not this is an accessory to the church, and then we'll have the final vote on the preliminary findings of the site plan with the variances subject to all the conditions. So.
I think I can answer, Gina. Before the D, the other ones are a D3 variance relief from the provision that signage shall be in accordance with that certain section. So even though it's not, directly related to the use, the way the ordinance is written, signage does require a D3 variance if you don't comply. So the applicant put testimony on for that. There's also sign regulations that are same ones. Technically, to be conservative, the applicant put on testimony that those are also C variances. There is the loading, that they're not providing technically enough loading zones, which you've heard both operational, traffic, and now planning testimony on. Make sure I have the letter open.
The screen, right?
And then the fencing, yes, because of the 20-foot soccer netting,
Okay, so
which
we
is
got
technically
three.
a fence, yes. And that three items that are C variances plus the D3 for the signage, so it's technically some overlap. And as I mentioned, the applicant did previously, it was a kind of a double variance because they had a 4.5-foot retaining wall, then the fence. But so those are, do you agree with me, Sal and John?
Yes.
Okay, great. And that's reflected in my letter. I know there's been a lot of edits to my letter, but when it really comes down to it, those are the C variances.
Gina, are you satisfied?
Yeah.
Okay. Angela, do you have any questions?
Just to confirm that the lighting on the cross is the same backlit style that's going to be for the lettering?
Yes.
Any questions? John?
No questions.
How about the plans? Francine? Lori?
I'm good.
Okay.
Jason, just one more
Yes,
in my
please
letter.
go ahead.
And this is more for Marty. In my letter, it does still note that his lighting variance was required under 69D3. The applicant has since modified the lighting so that no variance is required for both the height and the intensity. So no lighting variances are requested nor required.
Okay. All right. Seeing that the board is satisfied with the questions, I'm going to open up to the public. If there's any questions from the public, no commentary yet, please raise your hand. Seeing that there is none, we will close the public question portion of this hearing. Excuse me? Yes, okay. So now we will open up to public comment instead of public questions. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make any comments to the board in front of this application hearing? Yes, please come on up and just state your name and your address for the record into the microphone very clearly. And no, take your time. Take your time. So again, just clearly,
We gotta swear you in for comments. So. Do you swear to tell the truth, not but the truth?
Yes, I do.
So fully stated. Swear.
My name is Tara Mitchell. I live at 24 Tiburon Drive in Homedale, and I am very much against this. I don't think it brings anything to our town. It's against the master plan. I don't
Excuse me
know-
one sec. Were you one of the people?
No, I'm not
Okay.
represented by the attorney.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
At all. It doesn't bring anything to the town. It takes away the quiet of our neighborhood. When we moved there, we moved here for quiet, peace, farmland. We thought this would be farms or homes. Nobody said, a big monstrous building like this was going to be built. It's noisy. They were putting up a fence recently. It sounded like they were hitting the equator by putting poles in. I can see them from my kitchen window. I can see it from my bathroom window. It's taking away my privacy. It doesn't add anything. It takes away. If it's not part of the master plan, why does the town have a master plan in the first place? To just constantly allow people to build and build whatever they want, wherever they want. We pay a lot of taxes. They don't pay taxes. This goes through, the next thing will be filing tax appeals because my home is not worth what it should be. And the town will not be getting the taxes that they expect. So that's something you need to take into consideration. It has traffic. There are people parked on Route 34 numerously. All the time. There's pollution from all this. It's noise. It's, you can hear this all the time. I can't sit up by my pool and not hear it. There have been children wandering in people's property that are unsupervised. That shouldn't be happening. You really need to consider what this does to the people who live there, the town, and why have a master plan if you're not following it? You can just let people build whatever they want, wherever they want. And there's no point to that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to express their commentary to the board? Okay, seeing that there is none, we're going to close the public portion of commentary, and we are going to go to summations now.
Yes, thank you. We first of all appreciate all the time and effort that the board has put in. We've tried to listen to all of your comments and concerns and address them. We appreciate the hard work that the congregation leadership has put into negotiations with the neighbors and all their efforts, and I think we've come up with a great plan. I want to correct the record on what the objector indicated about the master plan. The master plan contemplates this use in this area, so this is not inconsistent with the master plan at all. So I just want to make sure that board understands that. We request that based upon the fact that we've worked through every issue that the board raised and the public raised, including eliminating the lights, eliminating the turf field, which I know were two of the biggest issues, and then accommodating many of the requests with the deed restrictions and everything else that are in the settlement agreement. We think we've clearly met our burden under the municipal land use law for the variance relief, and therefore we request that the board act favorably with all of the conditions we've stipulated to.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay. In summation, Ms. Keller, Mr. White, do you want to provide your closing remarks?
Mr. Chairman, they've addressed all our engineering concerns at this point. We have no concerns with this application.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. White. Ms. Keller?
Sure. So just to reiterate, the applicant is here tonight with seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval with D3 variance relief, which is related only to signage on the site. Other D3 variances were previously granted in 2018, 2019, related to buffers, et cetera, none of which are proposed to change here. When we first received this application, it was unclear to us whether this was a second principal use, whether it was going to be, open to the public, what it was going to be, and we contemplated. We asked the applicant to put on the record whether they believe that this, and for the board to determine whether this was an accessory use incidental to the house of worship use, i.e., would this building function if it was not associated with the house of worship on the site? The applicant has put on testimony through the architect going through the building floor plan, the operations testimony from the head of the church, and then we've heard the planner's opinion on that as well. And I've given some case law for your consideration. So I think that's the biggest threshold issue, but that you should address before you move to a motion. I offer that if the board attorney agrees with me. But and this is for the boards to determine on their own. My opinion, at having heard all of the testimony presented, is that this is a customarily incidental use to the house of worship. But that's just my advice to the board. It's up to you to determine that.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Okay, so we're going to have two votes on this.
We should do that preliminary vote.
Yeah, the D1. Yeah.
Correct.
So
And
we're
sorry, just real quick, just to note as
it's
well.
in us two votes. So we're going to have two votes. Yeah,
Two
we're having two votes. Yeah.
So just to note also that houses of worship, places of worship, are permitted as a conditional use in residential zones, including this one. So this is exactly how the process is intended to go. If the applicant cannot comply with any of the conditions, if they're proposing something that's not considered to be part of the principal house of worship use, they come to this board. And so they do require a D3 variance relief, which has a different standard of proof, but the main threshold is this D1.
All right, so I'm going to, before we actually vote on anything, I'm going to just explain to the board what we're voting on the first time. And you can, what was it?
Close the hearing
Okay.
rather than what we're going to do.
Okay. So we are closing the hearing to any further testimony, any more further commentary or questions. And what I would like to do, Dimitri, as we've done in the past, is kind of do like a straw poll before we actually vote on things. But the first vote that we are going to have is a motion to accept the proposed new use as an accessory to the church. You're going to vote yes for that or no for that. But before we actually take the votes, I'd just like to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions on what they've heard with regard to this one. It's a D1 relief vote, that we're not requiring a D1 variance here. So this will be a motion to accept the proposed new use as an accessory to the church. So, Gene, do you want to share any of your thoughts?
I think that it's, we have to assume that it is, we have to look at it as an accessory.
Use the microphone.
We have to accept this as an accessory use.
Okay. Angela, is there anything you'd like to add?
No comment from me at this time.
Okay. Dimitri?
I have to agree with Gene. I heard lots of testimony, and it's all one way that this is definitely part of the everyday business of running a church, and having the accessory building is a necessity, and it is part of the church 100%.
Thank you, Dimitri. John?
Agree with Gene also, it's accessory.
Francine?
No comment.
Okay. Lori?
I'm struggling with the accessory use, and I have struggled with the accessory use from the beginning. I don't know that it is necessary for the operation of the church. I understand what the intent is. I'm just struggling that this is an accessory use.
Okay.
Ms. Gerhardt, if I may say, there is case law that it does not have to be necessary for the operation of the church, and it does not have to be necessary for the practice of their religion, of any religion, in order to be considered a part of a house of worship. There's a lot of leeway in federal and state case law.
Lori?
I'm just struggling with it because it's a separate structure on the property, so of course it's part of the church. Like that I'm struggling to figure out, like, could it operate independently without the church, which you had mentioned before, or does it need the church to operate?
I think the answer here is that it's on the same property as the church.
Right.
There's no requirement that things have to be in the same building. The ordinance we're essentially treating this as a new principal structure. The non-residential uses are allowed to have multiple principal structures under the heading of the same principal use. So I think, if this site, if anything were to change on this site, they would have to come back to the board. That's really what it comes down to, and that could include if the main church building were to move locations, if anything were to change, they would have to come back to this board. You're agreeing to all the testimony that was heard tonight, the last 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Even, from the operations standpoint, everything that is on the record, we have the recordings. When we need to, we go back to them. So and besides that, you have heard that there are deed restrictions, that no third parties can use this.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. So in listening to this over the last 2 years, my opinion is that the operational testimony provided clearly makes this an accessory use, and then the additional work that you've done with the neighbors using the deed restriction, preventing it to be accessible to third-party rentals, shows clearly this is an accessory, in my opinion, accessory use to the church. And again, I've seen all the changes you've made, with the turf fields going to the grass fields, the lighting, a lot of other things that you've mentioned before, that in my opinion, I see myself voting for this as a accessory to the church. So based on that, I'd like to ask the board, somebody on the board, to motion, ask for a motion to accept the proposed new use as an accessory to the church and not require D1 variance relief.
I'm sorry, for the record, Angela will be voting instead of Mr. Marzocca.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion that this be accepted as an accessory to the church.
Thank you.
Second.
Irina, do you want to take?
Ms. Campus?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhardt?
No.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Mr. Giampaolo?
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Costello?
No.
And Mr. Burkle?
Yes. So, Marty, am I understanding?
We have four.
Go ahead.
5-2.
So we didn't have, but we don't need testimony on the D1 standard, so now I would move to your motion.
The main.
Preliminary and final site plan approval for the D, plus the D3 and the 3C variances.
With subject to all the conditions, yeah, subject to all the conditions, and again, compliance with the neighborhood agreement, yeah.
The settlement agreement will be submitted as a condition, as part of the conditions of approval.
Signed, so with the new
Signed
facts.
settlement agreement. The only thing I would note is that I know this is kind of a unique way we're doing this. It's Marty, do you think, I believe that everyone can vote?
I agree.
Not just if you voted yes. So, okay, yes.
Okay. So again, just to
You're not objecting to that, is?
No.
Okay, so we're not voting on any kind of D1 relief variance here. What we are voting on now is a D3 for the signage, and all the C variances that, Kate, I don't know if you want to repeat that one more time, the C variances that we'll be voting on for the board.
Sure. What it's been reduced to from the original letters are the second loading space, the height of the signage, the area of the signage, and the soccer net, the height of the soccer net.
Okay.
Excuse me, the protective netting, not the actual soccer net.
Okay. So hearing what we're voting on with the D3 for the signage and what Kate just repeated, do you want to, I'm going to open up to the board again for a straw poll, just to kind of like, well, I think there's
No, we don't
some
need a
commentary.
straw poll.
No, we don't need to do that. Why don't we just vote?
Let's vote. I make a motion based on what you just said, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to repeat it all.
But I think when everyone's voting, they're allowed to share their comments
Yes, we
and
can.
any kind of opinions on why you're voting a certain
Yes,
way.
yes.
So Irene, you want to start with the...
No, we need a second.
What's the vote?
Motion
What's the
was-
motion?
The motion to approve application for preliminary final site plan with the variances, subject to all conditions, which includes the neighborhood agreement.
It's all the conditions throughout the hearing that
Right,
happen to
I made the
sites.
motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. So Irene, we're going to take a vote for each person with time for commentary.
Ms. Costello?
Yes, with the condition that the frosting and tint be added to the windows. If that can be added.
Thank you. Mr. Orfadopoulos?
Before I give you my vote, I've been on this board, or a board, for many, many years, since 1997 to be exact. I've never had an audience, an applicant, work so well together. It's very impressive. Makes me feel good that the applicants, professionals worked hard at this. The church itself negotiated this with the neighbors who had concerns. Obviously, everybody's concerned. They don't want it in their backyard, but they were able to work with the church, which is really a great feeling to see something like that happen with all of you people. Be proud of what you've done, because you made somebody, you did the right decision, everybody. Even though there was one person that wasn't happy, everybody else seems to be happy. And my vote is definitely 100% yes.
Mr. Giampaolo?
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhardt?
Yes.
Ms. Campus?
Yes.
And Mr. Burkle?
Again, I'm just going to repeat, why I feel this way. I'm going to actually repeat a lot of what Dimitri said already. I think the applicant and the attorney, Mr. Alfieri, has, gone far and above what was required to work with the neighbors on making sure they heard all the neighborhood, concerns and issues. And so I want to applaud both the applicant as well as the neighborhood for coming to the agreement that was reached here. I agree the site remains appropriate for the use that is being proposed here. I agree that the applicant has met both the positive and negative criteria for the application, and I find the positives outweighing the negatives credible. All the testimony we've heard makes me vote in favor of this application, and my vote will be yes.
Thank you. Motion
So,
passed.
just for the record, however, Angela, you voted yes with two new conditions that they did not agree to. So unless the board's agreeing to those, are you changing your vote to a yes without those conditions, or are you going to be a no? Just to keep the record clear.
Marty, I believe that
That's only at the CO, but you wanted it now?
Yes.
She wants it now, not
Oh,
at
I
CO.
misunderstood that. Okay.
So unless the board's willing to take those two conditions now and not at CO, either you have to change your vote, or it's just that you're not voting in favor of the motion. So you're really a no vote. I just want to keep the record clear. It's going to pass, but it's...
Then I would change my vote to no, without those conditions.
Can I say something?
Anybody else?
When I heard that was a major concern of mine, was those windows. And I hear you saying, well, we'll ask for an approval at the time of the site plan. If you really are going to do it, I don't see why they wouldn't agree to do it right now.
But testimony's closed, so you you can add those as conditions, and we can amend that of motion, not that everyone wants to, but you could do that for those two, Angela and Francine, or you have to do it now and amend your motion. Or Francine would be probably a no then too, I'm guessing.
Well, for the reasons that I said, I mean, I'm concerned about the privacy
Want to
there.
poll the board to see if they
Yeah,
agree
I guess
with that?
I think the applicant, again, we're not opening, so,
No.
okay, yeah. Yeah, we want to do a straw poll here? Gene, if.
Wait a second. I think this is an undue hardship that we're trying to impose these things. They financially have done so much to comply with everything, and I don't think there's anything wrong with waiting until the building is up and before they get the final CO for them to look at it and see if it really affects the neighbors or not. It's not a done deal 100% until the engineer says, yes, it is. So why do we want to impose a financial hardship when it's not necessary? The church has already spent quite a bit more than they probably initially thought with doing their plans all over again for us. So that's
Thank you,
my
Dimitri.
vote.
That's your straw poll. Yeah, that's your commentary on that. Gene, do you have anything to add to that? It's the conditions, the CO conditions for the windows.
I agree with Dimitri.
Okay. John? Again, this is just a straw poll. There's no change in votes right now.
I'm going to agree with Dimitri.
Francine, so you would change your vote to no, just to be clear, if we don't include that as part of the conditions for this application, when you voted yes before.
I just don't, again, for my reasons, if they are going to do, I don't know why they wouldn't agree to it. Financial hardship, I don't know, there are people in homes that will have financial hardship if there's no privacy.
I think
We have to look at the
Can I'm sorry, Francine. Sorry, I'm just like not totally clear because I know this came up. Angela asked about this earlier. So what did the applicant and Marty, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we need Mr. Alfieri to clarify here. What did the applicant think they agreed to, and what is this motion?
They're going to agree to frost or tint before CO's issued.
Is it on, Marty, your mic?
your mic.
Very close.
And we can get the exact language, but based on the, how it's going to impact the neighbor, if there's a glare of the lights coming out of that building to the neighbors, after they can see, after the landscaping is installed.
How would we know the answer to that?
It's going to be based on
Inspection.
our professionals.
So our engineer makes the determination, not the zoning board? It wouldn't come back before us?
Correct.
No.
Correct.
Oh, then I would change my vote too. Yeah. I didn't realize who was making that determination. I thought it was us to make the determination.
Leave certain things to our engineer. Just for
All right, so the potential here is to add an additional condition to this vote, so we're gonna,
So the applicant.
because otherwise it sounds like we have three
Am
no
I
votes.
allowed to say anything? I know
Yeah.
you closed.
You're okay.
No, I mean,
No,
say
listen,
something
No, I don't
we
wanna
have,
say-
we have.
Okay, so if
Let me just
I need my
clarify
record to be
something.
clear.
No, before you say anything, for our chair. It sounds like you might have three people. You
Yeah,
need five yes
exact-
votes.
yeah, so
you may want to add that as a
w-
condition.
there-
if you feel like moving
yeah,
forward.
if it's,
Just add it as a condition.
okay. I would like to,
So you need to amend the motion that was approved.
I just want to say, because if I'm remembering the testimony I heard earlier, this could also include like curtains or something.
Good, but any of those, you're right, the curtains we can't, it's the glare, that may be an issue, but the
It's glare,
tinting and the
it's-
frosting is the motion.
Oh, well,
I mean,
but-
is the request from Angela.
Well, okay, I think we need to clarify this.
Yeah.
And I think we need, does Mr. Alfieri get to say if he agrees or
We're
does
closed
disagree?
unless you want to reopen for that one issue.
it's 9:30,
But
okay.
we're just talking to Mr. Alfieri, we're not asking for more testimony.
All right, so we're gonna open up the hearing again for one final explanation of the CO requirements for the screening and the tinting of the windows before we get to the CO. So it would be actually a condition of this application where before we even vote, the applicant's going to agree to this, and it won't be based on getting the CO.
Yeah, so what we want to avoid is a no vote and a lawsuit in federal court under the religious discrimination law where the town is going to get hit with $1 million in fines and penalties over whether we're tinting a window when it's necessary or not necessary. So, I mean, if we're going to get a no vote, we'll have to make a decision. I don't know what the church will do. It's just, We're agreeing that if they're necessary and some third party, your professionals who you should rely on, determine it's necessary, we're gonna tint the windows. But to make us spend the money on something that may be completely unnecessary just seems unreasonable, so.
So,
I-
Mr.
but
Alfie, so-
I haven't talked to my clients.
Okay,
I'm just
do you want to
telling
talk,
my
do you want to
personal-
confer with your client?
Yeah.
We'll give
Yeah.
you 5 minutes to confer?
Yeah, please.
Okay, okay.
Are we taking 5-minute break?
Yes, 5 minutes.
Okay.
5-minute recess.
9:31, board is taking 5-minute break. Thank you. I think we're on. 9:34, board is back to session. Thank you.
All right, check, my mic's not working yet. Hang on a second. Is it working? Okay, all right. Okay, so the question was at hand is, Mr. Alfieri, is your client open to, as a condition of this vote, to placing tinting on the windows to provide some privacy? And I think some board members over here wanted to say, Gene, and I think Angela wanted to share a little bit more about what they were expressing. Gene?
Well, in my case, if there was a house there and it was 35 feet tall, then they would have windows. What are we doing that's different here?
And what, but your point is, what do
My
you?
point is that this whole business about the lighting is if there's lights in a house also, you know, the neighbors are gonna see it if they don't close curtains or whatever. So I don't see what the issue, this big issue is.
Okay.
To clarify, you're saying that that's an explanation as to why your objection has nothing to do with this being a house of worship. You would have the same objection if. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying it's not, I don't have an objection.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry. I
saying
misunderstood what you were
the same
saying.
thing as if the house was there and they had windows, they didn't close
All right,
the walls.
Angela, I know
I
you wanted to say
misunderstood what you
something,
were
Angela.
So my.
Okay, can I interrupt 1 second? Why don't we let the attorney speak first? Because that might
Absolutely.
solve a lot of the problems.
The church has conceded and continues to concede anything anybody's asked for. So we're willing to frost the first floor is not necessary. The second floor windows that face the homes only, not all the windows in the building. We're willing to do that. If
As
that's
a condition of this.
Yes. We just want
variance
to get a
relief.
vote yes.
Okay, all right. So we don't need to amend the vote then. We are going to continue, so.
We do, because that's a condition.
Okay, all right. All right, so I would like to get a motion, amended motion, to approve the application for the preliminary final site plan with the variances, subject to all the conditions, including the second floor tinting of the windows, for the windows that face the houses, directly in the back of the building.
I think we're saying, we gotta be clear, I don't know the difference between frosting and tinting. We keep saying frosting, then I hear frosting or tinting, I'm not sure what the difference is, but I think you just wanna make sure there's something there that obscures the view, which we think frosting would work, but.
Angela, frosting?
I agree.
Okay,
Okay.
frosting. Okay, so I think, yeah.
They're fine with frosting is.
Yeah, it's a condition, so I don't think I need to repeat the condition. It's a frosting of the windows that are facing the houses, right? It's part of the conditions. Marty has the conditions. Do you want, Marty, why don't you read the final condition?
Go ahead, it's a motion for preliminary and final major site plan approval with the variances outlined by Kate, as well as all the conditions of the various hearings, including the most recent condition. The applicant will tint the second floor.
Frost.
Sorry, frost the second floor windows that face the houses on the, I guess that's the north and somewhat west side.
North and
of the
west, yes.
I'd just like to define frost, because everybody seems to be confused between the two.
Okay.
Frost means you could get light through the window, it's just obscured by either a pebble glass or some sort of contour that allows you not to get a clear vision outside the window. That's what frost is. Tint is reducing the amount of light coming in. So we want frosted, so people, when they look out, can't see anything, it's just mumbled and blurred. Is that correct? Everybody's in agreement with that here? Okay,
Francine?
that's what it is.
Okay. So can I have a motion to,
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Just want to make sure we're tying this all
I have a lot of attorneys on this board.
Just want to make sure we're tying this up.
So we have a motion. You have the amended motion on the table.
Well, I need somebody to motion. I need a
I
first.
make the motion again.
Okay. Who is a second for this motion?
I second the motion.
Second that.
I'll second it again.
Okay. Irina.
Yes, and thank you for the update and the agreement. I just want to clarify that my comment mainly came from the commentary that we heard from the public, that there was line of sight into her bathroom. That's why I was more so concerned about the frosting due to traffic in any sort of public place. So regardless if this was a place of worship, if it was a home, we would expect there to be light anyway coming through the window. That's why tinting wasn't my concern. So I think I would have had this objection regardless to whatever structure was put on this property. So thank you.
I vote yes, and I'm sorry, Angela, but I disagree with you because we've done lots of developments, and I've never had where the houses were 20 feet apart, and we never told anybody they had to tint their windows or frost them or anything like that. If somebody wants privacy, they put curtains up in their windows.
All right. Wait, just quiet, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, and I just want to say thank you for making that concession. Privacy is something, and if it was a resident, that's one thing, you can approach your neighbor, but you have no control over, how many people are going to, and I'm not trying to say anything, because I think you're doing a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful thing that you're providing for the youth of your congregation. But in order so that there is nothing that's going to make it, how should I say it, uncomfortable, I think this was a right move to do this, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, as I said before with all my other commentary, again, I just want to thank both sides for coming to an agreement, making this work, and, it's been a long process. So I know there's a lot of negotiation on both sides here. I believe we have the vote is, motion passed, was it?
Motion passed.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. So we're gonna, all right, we have no more applications for the public hearing portion of this meeting. We are gonna, any professional reports? Ms. Keller, Mr. White?
Nothing for me tonight, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I would like to have a motion to close the zoning board meeting of June 24th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, I'm having a
All
good
in
night.
favor? Aye.